Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the roof of the Turbo Electric Factory with a little change, right? The quick wire assemblers that were over here have now been removed, as we can just fit them right into the recipe perfectly for the manufacturers to do high-speed connectors. So at the end of the previous episode, I realized that underclocking these didn't really work out very well. Doing 80 per minute instead of the recommended 90 per minute, which is the standard. 90 goes exactly into these machines that we need here, so we're just going to pop them in as part of a blueprint together. So in my architecture category, we've got Turbo Electric Factory and two variants here, one for the left side and one for the right side. In fact, I'll just quickly hover and we'll have a look at where we're going to place these down. So we'll start with the A side and turn it around this way. So I've basically planned for this to go roughly about here. 3 out from the edges. So that's our manufacturer, and then we have an assembler beneath. So that's the quick wire assembler just feeding literally directly right up into that. It makes 90 per minute. This takes 90 per minute, so that's why we removed them. Now they can be kind of more bespokely built in to the floor like this. Go to the B variant, and we'll do a blueprint mode, and that's going to hopefully snap in nicely. Don't know if I actually ever set the recipe of these. Let's see, did I? I did. Okay, cool. Yeah, so 90 per minute quick wire. They're also going to need their silica and circuit boards. So they have the belt here for the inputs ready to go. And we can now copy this, rotate it around, and just do auto connect. So they will automatically connect all their belts to each other. We'll just have to do the power cables. Now, we need 12.5 machines per line. So we need 25 in total. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5... There's a bit of spacing on these, so we're probably going to go a bit further back than I'd like, but that's okay, I guess. We'll work around it. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then the 13th one, which will underclock to 50%. And that will require a underclocked assembler underneath, I guess, as well. Alright, cool. So the only little complication is here is where the stuff was coming up originally. We'll just rotate these around so they're facing out. It's the copper and the caterium coming out of both that's going to make the quick wire. So it's not really a big deal. It's just they're kind of in the same location a little bit, but not really. Alright, so we'll work our way back down now. So that's the B variant. We'll go back to A, and we'll make sure we're locked in as we should be. And then, yeah, just feed these all the way down, and then we can have a look at the approach here. But I mentioned it before that this floor beneath is basically like a little logistics floor. It will have some machines on it, as you can see. It has the assemblers. But the plan is really just to move belts around on this floor for the most part and have all the manufacturers upstairs. Are we out now? Yeah, that's as much as we can do. There's still other things to do, though. I have to connect the poles together and then also connect these little belts together. That's wrong. Good job, Darren. Straight away. First manual placement of the day, and he messed it up. In fact, this should be a Mark II. So these are the high-speed connectors going along here. I'll just unpaint that as well. Okay. The high-speed connectors are going to go into radio control units. At least that's the plan. So we'll have them. We'll have to build this floor out a little further and have them somewhere over there. Let me just look at my document. They're going to also require heat sinks. The heat sinks, I think, are coming up here. So yeah, somewhere just over there will be perfect. There's a few things that we haven't brought up yet, like the quartz crystal actually out of the blenders. So there's still lots to do. I think in total 48 manufacturers, something like that we need to build today. I'd love to get them all hooked up and actually just have everything running. And then we could do an episode dedicated to like the control room and just like finishing the cosmetics and making everything look good. That'd be ideal. And troubleshooting. I might stream the troubleshooting because I feel like there could be a lot that could go on or go wrong for a long time here. Alright, so there we go. 26 manufacturers with 26 assemblers underneath, all plugged into each other and ready to go. But I've just rotated these around. We need to rotate this around as well. This is our little caterium bit, so we'll just get Mark III and we'll aim it out this way. I've actually set these to be the same height. Is that right? I guess so. And we'll see, we'll follow it along here, turn, and then go into this section here. So, we have 26 assemblers, but this is the equivalent of 25, because these two are underclocked to 50%, this one and this one. In total, we actually needed 32 assemblers. So I still need 7 more. We could do 8 more, right? We'll do 4 more on the left of each side, and we'll underclock another 2 each to 50%, and that will give us what we need, I think. And that's just to make the additional quick wire that's not going into those machines. And that should balance out correctly, at least for the numbers I have on my screen, so I think so. Alright, so let's float. And And I think I'll set up 2 separate poles here. So, do you want to go in the, I guess here is better. 1, 2. And 1, 2. I'm just wondering, should I even separate the Caterium? I don't think so. But let me just continue this way and see. Alright, so we'll go here then. I'll just go to the halfway point. 1, 2. 1, 2. And then we need a Mark 5. Okay. And this is where it would have to go into Smart Splitter. So one of them has to go Smart Splitter here. And then the other one here. Okay, cool. So, in you go. Then at the right, you just go straight down there. That's actually a Mark... Oh yeah, it would need to be a Mark 4 belt from then on. Not that, well, it doesn't need to, but you know me, I'm crazy. Right, and this can say Mark 5 and go to here. And then same thing, Mark 4 out of its mind, going down there. So what I was thinking is, the Caterium could just go straight through the middle, actually. So we could just pop the Caterium nodes there. And there. Cool. And then this will just need to Smart Split. Well, actually, it needs to split as well in the same way. This would be a bit weird, actually. I wonder, should I just do a regular splitter here and create 2 belts? I guess we could just do one after the other. I don't know if that's really weird or not. Maybe. If it is, I'll catch it soon. So, go into here, and then that's to be fed down into this group. So we'll say that yeah, I'll figure out the overflow in a minute. This continues on. And that goes down there. Oop, is that off now? Nope. Alright, cool, so that goes down there. So the thing that's confusing me is just this left side will have to come out into 4 more assemblers and this into 4 more. I think that's fine, it's just that the priority will be on this row more than anything. This could be a normal splitter, maybe. Anyway, I don't know. I'm getting kind of confused with it. It doesn't really matter. Either way, it'll get backfilled. Right, so this would work out pretty well, except this is sort of in the way. So I might remove that and move it somewhere else. So the heat sinks are here. I thought they were over there. They're a bit closer than I thought. That's okay, though. We could just slightly move them. Just move them forward 1 tile. It should be okay, I think. Could check that downstairs. But this would be ideal, because then we can just plug into here and do what we need to do. And if this was here, it would be aligned to the foundation, I think. Actually, doesn't look like it is. It would be if it was here. Yeah, I guess assemblers don't line up that way, but this way we are within the foundation limit, so that's okay. So let's go with that. So now we need the opposite direction. So we're going in, left, out, right. Yeah. So left. There. This one should be the way we go. So that's got us lined up. That's got us lined up. That should be all good, I think. Something just feels so wrong about this, but yeah, okay. It's like, okay, this is working a bit too easily. Let's just take another one of these. Go in there. You go in there. You go in here. Aha. There's a problem. Well, it's not really a problem, is it, if we just do this? I guess it might look a bit funky, but it's okay. Alright, so the overflow from that will then go along here and feed into these machines. Excellent. So yeah, so we need overflow out the left here. And anything on the right. So that allows everyone to get their stuff. And the same with these, basically. So overflow at the left, anything on the right. Awesome, there we go. Caterium is now flowing into these, so we just have to set these to be quick wire, fused quick wire. The first ones are going to be at 50%. Okay. And then from here on, they can just be 100%, and that should be fine. Alrighty, that's pretty much that. Now, their output's pretty high, so they need to be at least Mark II belts. For those ones, anyway. And these guys will probably want to come together. Merge onto the same belt, I would imagine, might be ideal. So, I would say you're going to go this way. 1, 2. And then over here, we'll have a... Yeah, this is where our other merger will have to go. Although we could come down and actually merge. I don't know if we'll need to be up or not. It'll depend on what this goes into. So this is going into AI limiter assemblers for the most part. About 500 Caterium will be going into them. So they also require copper sheet. And the copper sheet is somewhere just down below here as well. I'll have to figure out how to bring that up. Yeah, okay. We'll just leave this as is then. That's basically AI limiter, or sorry, not AI limiters. That's quick wire done though now. I just need to move these heatsink things, and that's the high-speed connectors done. So we'll just mark that one off at least. That's high-speed connectors done. All the Caterium's been accounted for. We're not sending the overflow into a depot or awesome sink yet. We need a big dedicated room for that, I feel. But looking good. We should be filling all these up. It's tempting to run these machines now and just let them get completely filled, because otherwise the manifold will just take ages. Oh, and this needs to be handled also. So overflow's going out the front now this time. Yep, cool. Yeah, so let me just do that. I'm going to grab a little power source, fill these up, just let the machines get going. These ones aren't going to run, but these will all just get completely filled, which is ideal. All right, there we go. The first batches of quick wire. Oh, we can see it all the way down the line, actually. Just for this first initial batch are rolling up and being fed into their high-speed connector machines. Okay, so getting the silicon circuit boards up here will be next. But also dealing with where this is coming up. So I gotta remove the high speed or the heat sinks from here and move them back a bit. But that is a bit of a challenge. So they come out at this point. I might have to reverse these belts and send them out over on this side, which might make more sense anyway, because there's actually a bunch of stuff coming up this way. Alright, so I've moved the heat sinks. They're now actually closer to where other things come up as well, and we still have to bring up the quartz crystal, so I might try to bring that up here or roughly in the same location, so they can all kind of branch off and go where they need to. Remember, the future machines, like other manufacturers, are going to be on the floor above this one. This is really just a floor to organize where things go. So we can get back to the quickwire little mini problem I have here. So this is going to come out and along here now. These can actually merge up together. I think I went up to 4. Like that. Oop. And we'll just finish this one up. What am I doing? Go like this. There we go. Plug that in there. And you can come along for the ride. Nice. Okay, so now that these have been running for a while, they're still just feeding what's gone up above. So how much have we made so far? 468. So it's just about to get to its 500 number. But yeah, we could just hook these up to the same power lines, really, if you wanted to just see how that's going to go. I guess there's just no power left, though, really. But we'll just spaghetti it. Let them do their thing. Right, so now they're going to get their stuff, too. And they're going to start making quick wire that's going to roll this way. So that should be fine. It's obviously not going to go anywhere for now. So I need to mark that as that this should be. Let me see how much it's going to be. So I'll have to do the math on this. It's terrifying, I know. I believe it's 630, I think. So 90 times 6. Well, it's 90 times 7, really. Yep, 630. Awesome. Okay, so just so that we know that, I can just write that down, and then I just know we need 500 of it, and the remaining 130 is going to be for dimensional depot stuff. So we'll just change this to quickwire. And say that we have 630 here. Now, did I make that a mark? That's a mark 4. Yeah, so it'll have to be a mark 5 coming off that. That's cool. Alright, great. So that's high-speed connectors done. AI limiters we could do next. They'll be assemblers, so I feel like they could stay on this floor also. So I was getting a little nervous. You know, we've all these copper sheet refineries down there, and there's 3 belts moving into heat sinks and then over to circuit boards, and I was like, oh, which belt do I pull from? Like, I'm not entirely sure, but turns out I actually figured that out in the last episode because of the way we clocked the machines again. Making sure the heat sinks take exactly what they need from the belts that are going in, and then everything that's left over is on this belt. This is now going into circuit boards, and then it has a little bit more than it needs. But thankfully, this is the area where everything goes upstairs anyway, so we can just easily split off from this. So let's grab our floor hole, split off from this, and send the remaining copper sheets upstairs, and it should be okay, I think. High-pitched voice. As he says, slightly uncertain. But yeah, we'll just get a Mark III belt. It's 165 per minute that we need to send up there. And we'll just say overflow, because it's after the circuit boards. So there we go. So that should be that. Oh, interesting. We have graphical glitch. The plates are like sideways, carrying up the copper sheets. Anyway, whatever. Right, so there we are. So this should be 165, I think. That's what we've got left over, and we should be making as much copper sheets as we consume. There's nothing left over. So in theory, that's what we should aim for. 165. And we could put down little belt, what are they called? Counters? Is that what they're called? Conveyor counter? Conveyor throughput monitor. We could put down the little monitors to see if these numbers are then accurate, given some time. Although obviously, as I've said many times ad nauseum, not everything will be running at 100% for a little while. So yeah, so it's tempting just to copy one of these over. And we could do it this way. And we need 5 of them, so you need enough room to be at least a little bit more forward than that. About here. But then you're going to be in from the right and in from the left. So 1 from each, and then out to the left. So RL. There we go. RL and then out L. Nice. Alright. That should work out. And just make sure that we're in line with what we need to be. Looks like we are. Although these need to come forward just a bit. There we go. Perfect. Alright, great. So, coming off of this is the quick wire that's going to go in there, and we need a 5th machine, so I'll just have to copy and paste this one over. Now, I think normally in this blueprint they were given a slight gap, just one. So just build this one manually, I guess. We could even feed it in this way if we wanted to. I'd say just keep it this way for consistency's sake. Okay, and then, well, for consistency's sake, you should be on the right. You want to be crazy about it. And you stay on the bottom. Okay, so there you go. There you go. Yeah, this is 1 higher up than it needs to be. But whatever. If we just do this, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's where we need to go now. So, it's going to be a Mark V. There will be something left over, though. The leftover bit, I suppose, could be here. That's going to be a smart splitter. 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Alright, so, you now, as a Mark V, need to go in here. Straight mode. And I guess just for my sake, I'll do it this way. Now, what's your problem? You aiming the wrong way? No. Somehow this is aiming the wrong way. Yeah, don't know how that happened, but okay. 1, 2, 3. Let's try that again. Maybe I just had it aiming the wrong way. Yeah, okay, cool. And then this will be the excess remainder. That should be, I want to say 130, and that's what we've got left over. So just gonna bring this up to here. 130 for the depot. All right, and actually we'll color that to be pink or purple or something, just so I know that's for the depot. Dimensional depot colors. Okay, smart splitter, anything out the right, and overflow out the center. Cool. So that's going to get fed between these now, so that's going to be marked forward across the board. And then we set these to AI limiters, so this recipe. I think they just run at 100%. Don't think we're doing anything crazy with these, so yep, that should be fine. So that's set on each one of them now, and you're going out to the left as well. Cool. Okay, consistent. Alright, so now you just need your heat sinks. Or sorry, copper sheets that will be coming out from here, right? 165. So 165, let's see if this works out. I didn't look at the math. It's 25 copper sheets. Doesn't sound right. Let's see. 25 times... how many do we have? 5? 125 is what we need. Oh, I have it written down correct, actually. I just actually made the error. It is 125. 165 is what's going into the circuit boards. So this will actually be 120. It should be 125 that comes up. That's just my bad. 165 is going downstairs. Anyway, right. Cool. If that's true, if that's going to work, then we'll get our Mark III belt. So we'll just continue it along here. And it's going to go straight into this section here. Alright, and that should be the copper sheets. That will then roll out, meet up with the quick wire, and that's going to make our AI limiters. We're now making 25 per minute, basically. We need 22.5 per minute to go upstairs, and that's going to mix with quartz crystal to go into crystal oscillators. And it's also we're also going to need to bring in rubber from the truck station. The truck station's over there. That's pretty far, actually. But that'll get organized on this floor, I guess. Alright, so a bit of a painful one, just for getting the placement correct. But not too bad, actually, really. AI limiters are now done. Radio control units would be next. So radio control units are going to take the high-speed connectors from here. Some of the heat sinks that's coming up here. And then some of the quartz crystal. So the next thing for me to really figure out is where quartz crystal is going to come up. Alright, so just for a quick recap there, we have the 9 refineries doing quartz crystal with a byproduct of dissolved silica. The dissolved silica, 540 per minute, gets used in these 5 blenders. The 75 per minute times 9 is 630. The 630 we're using in crystal oscillators and radio control units, with 45 left over for us to just go into our inventory. Remember, almost every production chain in this factory, we make a little bit more than we need to, just so I have it in dimensional depots that we can use later. So that means here, we are going to say, this is going to be quartz crystal. And we're looking at 630. And then I'll just say 45 left over. Will be the plan. We'll make it purple after the fact. Okay, so that's the... Well, that wasn't really on the to-do, but that's all in service of getting radio control units up and running next. Or crystal oscillators, whichever one we want to do. Radio control units, I guess, seems like the quicker one to do. So, let's see. It's slightly less machines. Now, do I have an alternate recipe I need? Oh, I do. I have to find it. I don't have this yet. I'll have to have a look. Let's quickly see if it's in the MAM. I thought I'd rolled all recipes, actually, so maybe it is there. So, want to spot radio control units as a little icon. Not seeing it. We do have a rescan remaining on a few of these. Let's do it on this one. Rescan. Hey, there we go. Got it on the first click. So heat sinks, high-speed connector, and quartz crystal. Fertile uranium. Well, we'll be dealing with that soon enough. I'm looking forward to that, because it's going to be a bit of a reset to the series, doing the nuclear thing. Have it a bit more planned out. It's going to be like almost like a mini sub-series, like building a nuclear power plant in Satisfactory. So it should be good fun. People were asking me, like, how much uranium am I going to use? I was only going to use a little bit, actually. Not all the uranium on the map. But I was going to build it to scale so that we could use more in future. So, like, a facility that knows that we're going to eventually bring in more and eventually get, like, fixonium and all the other stuff. Like, I can't do all that immediately. So it was just going to be power to continue the series, but then room to grow. So ideally, we're going to build a facility assuming that we'll have all the uranium. So yeah, that's the plan anyway. But we won't be able to like utilize it all or even get it all to begin with. We'll just know that via drone, some will be arriving in, and via train, others will be arriving in. At least that's the idea. Okay, so with that done, get that out of here. I saw that automated miner. I keep forgetting to get that. We'll have to do that at some point too. I'll have a look at where that could fit in. It uses steel pipes and stuff, doesn't it? Alright, so I just made a couple new blueprints for manufacturers. You know, we have so many variations for manufacturers. Like, some only need 3 inputs, some need 4. All the different inputs could have all these different directions. So I just build them as we need them, as we go. And then just hopefully document, you know, the details on the right so I can kind of keep track. So the input's going to go this way to begin with. And it's a bit of a different style than these. They're not being fed from beneath. They're just being fed up on top. And ultimately, that's actually perfect. That's in line there. So we need 10. So 5 on each side. So let me make sure, is that right? Yeah, it seems okay. So 1. I actually didn't make these auto-connect. I guess that doesn't really matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Wonder, could I or should I have separated these out further or something? I don't think so. There's no real benefit. Alright, cool, so that's that. The next one's then is this one. So it actually has no output in order to kind of match these ones a bit better. They want to feed them onto the same output. So bring it down to here and bring it across. So that's in line with that. This is going to be awkward to see though. So if I count this over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it's 7. It could be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess if these are in the center, that means we're good. Yeah, cool. All right, so yeah, another 5 of these. And then we just have to underclock 2 of them to 50%, because we do ultimately just need 9. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Cool. Hopefully they're all lined up. All good. Radio control units. The new recipe is set. Heat sinks, high-speed connectors, quartz crystal. So all of that stuff is just over here, basically. Coming up from just down beneath here. So we can just plug them in really nicely, depending on where we go. And how we want to get them up there. Yeah, sorry. There they are. Yeah, because it could just go in the center or just split between them. We could do all that downstairs, actually, if we want to keep it really clean. So let's just merge these guys together. So the amount of radio control units is like, I don't know, 40 per minute, something like that we're making. If we just have like 3.75, so 3.75 times 9, we're making 33.75. Yeah, okay, cool. Some of it's going into supercomputers, some of it's going into turbo motors, so we'll do that a bit further down. We're getting to the end game stuff now, feels good. But this can stay as a Mark 1, that's ultimately what I was trying to check. Okay, Mark 1 out of our mind. Gotta hook these all up together. The bottom one is going to be Mark 1, that's going to be the high-speed connectors. So let's just do that. So that's obviously a low value, so that's totally fine, and they'll need to merge. So they're coming from here. I was going to, yeah, just use this area, so we could make this unpainted. This is like a little belt track that's going to follow. Yeah, that's okay. And it's going to roll down that way. Now, do they go anywhere else, the high-speed connectors? Some of them are going to splinter off and just go into a depot. Again, we'll have to figure out how that room is going to look. It's going to be quite messy. And these should just come through just fine. So now we've merged these up together. Let's see. Yes, okay, good. Yeah, so that's 235. That took ages to get there. But so now what we need to do is create a splitter and then send one in there. And one down to the far end. So we're going to have to go along the ceiling for this, I think. Right, so let's go 135 divided by 2, 67.5. So you're going to have to be a Mark II. And your little sister is going to be Mark II as well. And both of these need to be fed. So I guess very simply, we could just build a splitter right on the roof. Is this on the seam? Yeah. Right there. I'll get this and go straight up. And let that just continue out. Now that would probably have to be a smart splitter, because we're going to go somewhere else as well, out the front. But for now, it can just go into these two. So you're fine. And then you go all the way down here, into there. Okay, so that's the heat sinks, hopefully. So we'll say overflow out that way, and then anything out the left and right. These are an even split between these two areas, so that's totally cool. So anything, the overflow that's going out here, we need 80. It should be 90 that comes out this way. And 80 of that will go into blenders, making cooling systems, which also need gas and motors. The motors are over there somewhere. Gas, our pipeline, is over that way. We could do it on this floor if blenders fit. Although I kind of like having the blenders out because they're kind of a cool looking building. Yeah, they don't really fit. Okay, that's fine. We'll do them upstairs. And gas doesn't need pumps anyway, so that's okay. Alright, cool. So yeah, heat sinks are going now. So the next thing then for the radio control units was the quartz crystal, which is, as we can see, coming up here. And as mentioned, some of it will have to be used and some of it will not. So 630. So again, similar sort of situation to this. Rather annoyingly, because of the direction of things. Although we could just go a little lower, actually, thinking about it. So not straight along the ceiling, but almost. And that way we can just go straight under, actually. That would be great. So let's do Mark III, grab this, go down to there. Awesome. Right. So let's say a conveyor merger can just sit underneath this. Well, it would have to be a splitter. Yep. Mark III goes in there. This one is then going to do what this one's doing, so we need this pole to go underneath. Sorry, it's a bit dark. Alright, so that's the quartz crystal. So we're feeding it from here. So yeah, similarly, we'll just get this splitter, and it'll probably be a smart splitter in the future. Just bring it all the way up to the ceiling, I guess. Like that. Mark V out of its mind, connect in. Okay, so there we go. So we did it. Heat sinks, quartz crystal, and the high-speed connectors are going to be flowing into these guys. So they're getting everything they need. They're powered on. They don't have this yet, though. So if we want to turn on the high-speed connector machines, we could do that next. So they need their silica and their circuit board. So it's just a matter of getting that over to this location and feeding up to them. So we just need to feed into these two and those two. You know, I never noticed this before. I'm just looking at, like, using a ceiling mount versus using the ground mount, if that makes sense. These ones are tied to the third meter. So this is 1, 2, and then 3. This is 3 meters off the ground? Has it always been that way? I guess so. I'm just so confused by that. It's kind of blown my mind somehow. So a merger fits there. So that's the 2 meter mark for a merger, is it? Or is that 1 meter off the ground? That must be 1. Yeah, this is 1 meter off the ground. Okay. Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. It's kind of blown my mind because I was looking at like pulling down from the ceiling. I'm like, oh, things aren't like lining up correctly for some reason. Alright, and that'll be silica traveling all the way down here. Now, it still needs to get the additional bit of silica added onto it. So my plan for that was just really to have it go parallel and feed into this part, so that it adds everything else on. Yeah, that would make sense. And then if it gets backed up, which it inevitably will, that's the excess that we've left over, and that can go somewhere else. The excess that we've got left over for silica will go to... oh, just to me. 112.5 to Dimensional Depot. Yeah, that's okay. Alright, so this is the second belt of silica. It's just going to run right along its friend there. And don't worry, we'll obviously remove signs and stuff later. Cosmetics are still pending. But that should just go there, flip around, it should be okay. It's always weird when you add these on, they don't look like they're going in. Just want to redo that, because it just looks a bit strange. I don't know if that is the case, I don't think so, but just to be safe. So I'll just plug that gap while we see it. Alright, cool. Anyways, so this is going to travel along, and then after this one, it's got to merge in somewhere. And it can really merge anywhere. Alright, I've been really in the weeds of like belts and stuff. It's actually pretty straightforward. It's just the belts are kind of crisscrossing over each other a bit much. You know, that's the only downside to the way I've done it. It's not very organized in that regard. But circuit boards, that's the last thing. So they just ultimately need to go, I'm aiming for to get them in there. I'm just not sure how I'm going to do that. I guess working back might be a better idea. So I was going to say that, yeah. Let's see if I could just aim to here. So something like here. We're getting really messy now. 1, 2. And you go in here, default mode. I think you need to be a Mark II, as do you. Right, so circuit boards need to go here. So we just need to get over to the circuit board somehow. Let's just go to maybe like here. I mean, they actually could just follow the ground. Yeah, so that's okay. Let's do that then. So Mark II, this way. Circuit boards, Mark II. And we'll just go to about there. And lock it in. Alright, so if we turn on the circuit boards in the silica, we should be able to actually just see it flow up. It'd be nice to see it moving. Just know that I've done it somewhat correct. So let's just give them power. I actually never hooked up to power poles or anything, so we'll just connect them in 1-to-1 here. Okay, I didn't check power. Hopefully power is okay. Max consumption is just getting close to our production line, but we're not nearly running everything at 100% anymore. Not even close. Right, so that's going to let them all do their thing. They're going to start putting out water, actually, and the water's going to have to try and come around and get back in. We'll see if that priority system works, actually, now. You guys can then get your power, too. This will let you make your circuit boards. So you're waiting on... There we go, getting the silica. Awesome. The other bits of silica is going upstairs already. And they're going to start making their circuit boards, and that'll come up as well. The two will join together. Circuit boards have the priority of the first machine also, which is nice. That's good. Alright, so I've also just turned on the limestone node downstairs because these first few blenders weren't turning on, so they should come on in just a second, I think. We've got these two working though, and they're sending their silica this way to produce circuit boards, so that we can see a little batch just rolling out now. That's going to start making its way up. Did any more go? Yeah, already some have gone up, and then some circuit boards. So those two together, you could follow their little path now. So there's the circuit boards moving in. Here's obviously the silica, nice and easy to see. And that's rolling down now between all the first the first 12 to 13 manufacturers there. Some of which are making their way further down also. So cool, and we can see the circuit boards are doing their thing too. So they're just slotting in underneath and then splitting between the two groups also. Slowly making their way down. But that's good. That should start production of high-speed connectors. Yes, our first machine is now running. High-speed connectors then will roll out this way. In fact, I'm crowded with some stuff right now, so I'll just fill you up. Just get rid of some of that crap out of my inventory. Anyway, that's going to roll down along here into the radio control units then. And at the moment, they don't have anywhere to go yet, but they've got 2 out of 3 ingredients, and we've just powered that 3rd ingredient, so I'm sure they'll be totally fine. It's got to go this way into something. And then part of that's going to go into turbo motors, right? And then supercomputers. So another section over here to do those two. That'll be kind of the final thing. And then it's just a matter of making sure everything runs. I don't think there's any other missing machines. Oh, there's the cooling systems, actually. Yeah, that'll be coming up next. Alright, there's actually a really interesting interdependency going on with this factory. So the high-speed connectors are over here, and they're going into the radio control units, which we're starting to back them up now, which is awesome. So they're being produced just fine. However, I noticed that quartz crystal, we overproduce it on purpose at the moment. And if we overproduce quartz crystal, these refineries will stop. If they stop, they can't get their dissolved silica into these blenders, which stops silica production, which inadvertently stops circuit board production, which stops high-speed connector production, which would have stopped anyway without silica anyways, and yeah, and then stops radio control units. So there's a lot of interdependencies going on here. This is why we'll need a decent, awesome sync room to sort of take all of the excess, because we do make stuff in excess on purpose, but also probably want to do like a little fail-safe catch-all, sort of like if this group has failed for some reason, something's gone wrong. You don't want the whole factory to stall, ideally, so adding a lot of different ways that belts can spill over into an awesome sync room I think would really help this place. But anyway, we're just going to get rid of that for a moment, and things will stall again, but that's okay. We're going to place down some new blueprints I got. So I've got the cooling systems blender A and B side here, so we'll go with the A side and rotate it this way. We're going to have to move this back a bit. I would say to at least to here. You'll see why in a moment. So we don't actually have the recipe I want for this one. I went out and found some hard drives. I found 4, and they're being researched at the moment. In fact, actually one of them just got done, so we'll check that now. 2, 3. We need 8 of these in total, so 4 on each side. And then we'll just rotate around to the B variant and then place them down here as well. But they do not just slide into each other. We got to move them up so the outputs join, which is there. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that's the 8. So the standard recipe that you get in the game is heat sinks, rubber, water, and nitrogen gas. The alternate recipe I have is heat sinks, motors, and gas. Yeah, heat sink, motors, and gas. So we cut out the rubber and water. The rubber we're actually going to use for crystal oscillators soon anyway, because there will be some coming into this factory, but I don't have enough to be able to run these as well. So let's just check to see if I got that recipe. Hard drive scan complete. Wouldn't you know it? I didn't plan that. I actually did get it. Nice. I'm getting quite lucky with these. I actually was looking through... Oh, doorbell. Anyways, so we have the cooling device, the alternate recipe for cooling systems that we wanted. What I was saying is that I had seen earlier that I did look through and almost missed like the radio control unit recipe that was here. But thankfully it wasn't actually the one I was looking for, and the fact that I rescanned a recipe was good. I got very lucky with that though, because it could have been the one I wanted, and I could have missed it and just been rescanning a bunch of things, just wasting all my rescans. I guess not that big of a deal, but it would have been not ideal. Deal. Alright, we'll take this. Excellent. So that really did work out very well indeed. So we'll just set that now. So select recipe, cooling device. Copy and paste this down to each one of these guys. Alright, so I've marked a little spot for our heat sinks to go into there and there. We could just send them up to 1 and then split it above, but I just think for consistency we'll do it the same as how we did it before. So this is where our heat sinks come up, and they get split evenly, and then we have an overflow out the center. So I would say somewhere even just very basic, if we just get a splitter, I'd say actually just a regular splitter here, going that direction. That should be able to go into both. So they only need to be marked 1. So we'll just send you in there, and you here. Now the other thing is this factory, it won't be able to run these heat sinks properly or fully, because we only produce half of the amount that we're supposed to, and that's just all based on a miner really far back that isn't able to run at the full amount just yet. Alright, so the next thing is feeding all of these little inputs with motors. So the motors are down here, and they're just backed up basically, just backed up and waiting. Do they merge together or anything? No, it's just these machines on the top that are doing the motors. So it's just this line right here. And there's supposed to be some excess for the wires to go into a dimensional depot in the future as well. 10 are being left over. Alright, so these motors, Let me just see, is what's like right above us here, you know? Nothing too bad. I mean, there is space to get out. And then you just need to go over and go into all of these little inputs. Alright, just before these motors make their way here, I'm actually going to change this to a smart splitter. Something like that. And then if we feed that in there, feed that down that way, and we just say, hey, smart splitter, anything overflow goes out the front, anything else goes out the right. So overflow going this way because we need these motors to go into turbo motors. Now there's only 2 manufacturers for turbo motors. We need 15, is it? 15 motors per minute that needs to go into them. I think they take 7.5 each. Makes sense? Yeah. So just once all these blenders, all the cooling systems are full and running and the motors get backed up, then we push it on to the next thing. There's no motors left over in total because we already produced some in a different factory for us, so we didn't need to. Alright, so I've just arrived back. Let's take a quick look to see if the machines are getting anything yet. They actually are. They're starting to get their first little bits of gas, and they're full up on motors and heat sinks, which is great. So yeah, cooling systems is just about to be done. And then it is 12 manufacturers for the crystal oscillators. And then it's 2 manufacturers for turbo motors and 4 assemblers for supercomputers. So I wasn't actually planning on it. I was kind of planning on leaving this bit open, but I might extend this across now here. And that's where we could add in the 12 manufacturers for the crystal oscillators, because it is a lot to go with. I was thinking like I could keep it open. So this area here would be like the control room, and then nothing above that. And this could wrap around so it looks like a big N or U, depending on how you look at it. So build over the train stations, for instance. But I'm not entirely sure yet. I'll have to figure that out. But I think we'll probably call it there. I want to see the cooling systems, and then we'll call it there. And then the next video should be like really just the final few components, and then really try to get the place running permanently. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, with the first cooling systems now rolling out, that's going to have to be it for this episode. So just hopefully one more to go. I'm sure there'll be more troubleshooting and things after that, but generally speaking now, it's all just the little things. Setting up an awesome sink room, a power control room, hooking up the water recycling system, because I'm actually kind of cheating with it right now. Because machines aren't running at 100%, and they can't, I can't really guarantee if the water priority thing is working or not, because we're ultimately going to be providing more water than we should. So I've actually just created a little outlet here that goes over to the concrete for now, because it actually needs more than these guys would put out. So it's kind of a cheaty way of saying like our recycling isn't really doing what it's supposed to, but we can keep the machines going either way anyways. But yeah, turning on all these heat sinks, getting all the copper refineries up and running permanently, like that's really the goal. So I'd love to be able to do that for the next episode. It's just going to require more power than we have currently. So one way I could achieve that is possibly powering down the aluminum factory, or I don't know. There's got to be some things I can power down little bits of, potentially. We have to keep the power facility going. We don't really need the copper electric factory. The aluminum factory is needed in order to send some aluminum over here. Anyway, the reason I'm talking that way is so if I could just get this place running at 100%, then at least I know that it's all working. And then we can move on to the nuclear power plant and supply power. Now, if we build power storage and a few other things, like, I think we can mitigate the risk and just run this like right on the line of how much we can push the power. That, or I just set up a very quick makeshift power supply, just super raw oil into fuel, just get a few thousand megawatts going, just to at least keep this place going, and then just reorganize that later in the future. That might be the play. I don't know, I'll have to think about it. Either way, it would just be an awful shame not to be able to try and run this at 100 now, which just means upgrading to Mark III miners, using the turbo motors that we have and all of that kind of stuff to do so. So that's the plan. Anyway, so that's going to be it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.